Right here, I'm holding the secret to improving and extending your fall green bean harvest. It's mid-August, and if you're like me, you're starting to think about your garden, wondering, should I just let it wind down, or should I try to extend the growing season? Specifically in this video, I'm going to be talking about green beans, and in my opinion, why they are the superior choice for having a great fall harvest, as well as improving your garden soil quality for next year. If you appreciate me getting started quickly, can I have a thumbs up? Let's do this. The warm soil temperatures in August are ideal for getting seedlings to germinate. But as September starts coming in, the ambient temperature starts cooling off. This is why it's so important to select plants that are fine, even happy, maturing in cooler temperatures. Now, you could select something like lettuce, kale, a brassica like broccoli. I mentioned that this video is about green beans, and that is because of the next reason green beans are so great. And that is, they improve soil quality in your garden for next year. You see, green beans are legumes, and legumes are what they call nitrogen fixers. That means they literally draw nitrogen out of the atmosphere, out of the air around the plant, and pull it down into the roots. And they do this with help from bacteria and fungi present in the soil. And that's starting to get close to the secret weapon, but I'll get to that in a minute. Now, this is the opposite of what many vegetables are doing, right? Aren't often we adding fertilizer in some form or another for plants like, for instance, a tomato plant, because they're pulling nitrogen up out of the soil. Not so with green beans. Green beans are pulling nitrogen out of the air, putting it in the soil, and that benefits the plant at present, but it also benefits future plants that you will be putting in that same garden spot come next spring. Okay, so let me show you how to plant green beans and how to use the secret weapon. Between the two types of green beans, vine and bush, I prefer bush beans because they stay closer inside the enclosure that I've made for them. I have deer and other creatures coming through here on a regular basis, and anything sticking out gets eaten. So that's the first reason. I also like bush bean because they're closer to the ground and they're easier to harvest. If you've ever harvested green beans, you know how well they kind of hide the green beans, and you can stand back and think you're all done and realize you still have half of them left to pick. So there you go. I like bush beans. Now, here's how to plant them, and here's how to do it with my secret weapon. It's super important to remember that green beans have a sort of symbiotic relationship with the bacteria and fungi present in the soil. And not all bacteria and fungi are created equal. Some are better than others when it comes to encouraging green beans to nitrogen fix in the garden. And so that's why I use my secret weapon. It's a brand called Dynamico, and it is pelletized fungi that you use in planting with your green beans. Here's how I do it. I make an 1 to 1.5 inch divot in the soil, and then I add in 2 or 3 green beans. And I do this because I want to make sure that I get good germinators, and because sometimes you'll get them and they don't germinate. Next, I pinch in pellets of the Dynamico, and then cover it over. It never ceases to amaze me how fast green beans shoot out of the ground. So, you know, that children's tale, Jack and the Beanstalk, well, it's based on a true story. Within a week, maybe 2, you're going to have lots of little groups of green bean sprouts sticking out of the ground. Use a pair of snippers and clip off all of the weakest and shortest and malformed sprouts, leaving just one in each of those groupings. And then keep them consistently watered. Now, depending on the variety of green bean that you planted, between 50 and 60 days later, you're going to have a crop of green beans to harvest. Now, for the sake of making this video, I skipped waiting on those green beans, and I'm going to harvest the spring green beans that I planted. This is actually the second harvesting of green beans from these plants, but it all looks like this. For the green beans that I'm not going to use right away, I wash, dry, and clip off the stems, and then I freeze them. That way we have garden-grown green beans all winter long. Was this video helpful to you? Do you have thoughts or questions? Please leave them in the comments section below. I've left links to all of the different items that I used in this video in the description, and I also have a shop where I have designed garden-themed t-shirts, so be sure to check that out as well. I really appreciate it. For the 5 of you that made it to the end of this video, you keep me motivated to make more videos. And of course, if you like this video, you might like these.